Luke Collins faces the undefeated beast Rango in the World Bull Riding Finals, but he falls off taking a brutal hit. We jump forward 1 year somewhere in North Carolina, where we see Marcia looking for her friend Sophia in the college sorority house. Marcia gives her a pair of boots and asks her to come along to watch a bull riding competition that evening. Sophia refuses, stating that she has to prepare for her art internship in New York, but Marcia ends up changing her mind. The competition they go to is where Luke is making a comeback after the incident the previous year, and we can see that he is still shaken by the hit he took last year from Rango. To pass to the next stage, the rider has to hold on to the bull for 8 seconds. Luke shakes it off and gets out, and as he stuns the crowd, the girls get a good look at Luke. He passes, and as he waves to the crowd, the bull he was riding charges at him, so he heads towards the rails. As he jumps in, his hat falls next to Sophia, and Luke tells her to keep it. Later in the night, her friends get drunk, whereas Sophia heads outside and Luke spots her. He starts a conversation with her, and he offers to get her a drink. When they head inside, they run into Marcia, who is noticeably drunk and feels sick. Luke asks Sophia to take her home and asks for her number since he would like to take her out to dinner. Luke calls her, but Sophia doesn't respond since she is focusing on her internship in New York in 2 months. Marcia gives it to her that she must call him, and she would be a fool to let go of a guy like him. Sophia takes her advice and calls Luke. In the beginning, Luke brushes her off, saying it's all right, since he did not expect anything. Sophia is taken aback, but he offers to take her for dinner that very day. When Luke goes to pick her up, everyone watches the cowboy holding flowers, and as he enters the house, the girls go speechless. Sophia is really happy to get flowers, and as they leave, the girls go crazy shouting they too need a hot cowboy like Luke. Sophia asks him where they are headed, but he says it's a surprise. They drive to a hidden spot by a lake where they enjoy a nice candlelit dinner. They spend a good amount of time sharing about their lives, and Sophia tells him about her love for art and what she's doing in college. Luke shares about his goal to be the bull riding champion and that he got hurt last year. When Sophia questions him about how badly he was hurt, Luke goes on to say that his mom has been handling their family ranch ever since his dad died a few years ago, and the prize money would help him support his mom. He goes on to say that bull riding is all he ever knew, and after Luke mentions this, Sophia drops that she will be heading to New York next month for her internship. Things start to get awkward after that, and since it starts raining, Luke takes her back. On their way, Luke spots some missing rails on the bridge. He goes down to see that there has been an accident, and he saves an old man from the driver's seat. As Luke carries him, the man asks for the box in his car. Sophia grabs the box, and as she runs out, the car explodes. They take him to the hospital, and Sophia offers to stay behind till the old man wakes up. Since their dinner date ended up awkward, they both parted ways at the hospital. As she is in the waiting room, Sophia opens up the box and sees that there are 103 letters inside the box. She sees that all the letters are addressed to someone named Ruth, and even though it is bad manners to read someone else's letters, Sophia goes ahead and starts reading one. The letter dates back to April 10th, 1940. She learns that the old man's name is Ira Levinson, and the letter is written by a younger Ira. It mentions his feelings when he met his wife Ruth for the first time. As she completes reading it, Sophia learns that the old man has woken up. She heads over to see him arguing with a nurse about eating. Sophia introduced herself, handing over the box, stating that Luke saved him, and they brought him to the hospital. The man reminisces about his wife, and since he cannot read anymore on account of his bad eyesight, Sophia offers to read his letters if he eats something. This letter covers how Ruth approached Ira herself, and how he gained enough courage to pursue her. As Sophia finishes the letter, Ira sheds a tear and asks Sophia to come by daily to read for him if she is willing to. The next day, we see Luke participating in the next round of the bull riding competition, but unfortunately, he fails to pass. He heads home, and we see his mom for the first time, who asks about how it went. Luke says that he failed, but Mom says it still is a victory since he came home in one piece. She asks him to quit bull riding and brings up the injury he took last year. She makes it sound like it was indeed too severe and tells him to stop, but Luke urges that he will continue until he wins. Mom sees that he is acting strange, and Luke brings up Sophia, and even though he thought they might work out, she will be leaving for New York soon. Sophia can be seen scene at the hospital again, where Ira gives her the letter for the day. This letter covers how Ira and Ruth created memories together, and it is highlighted that Ruth shared her dream of having a large family. Sophia wants to read another letter, but Ira feels pretty emotional. The next day, Luke comes to the hospital, and he meets Sophia. Luke was surprised to meet her again, and said that he dropped by to give the man a photo he found in his truck. As the old man sees the photo, we jump to the past, where we see Ira and Ruth get their picture taken right before he leaves to fight in World War II. Ira gets injured on the battlefield and returns home, but the trauma gets to him, and he doesn't meet Ruth. A few days later, Ruth hears from her mother-in-law that Ira has come back and confronts him in a coffee shop. They get into an argument, since Ira wants Ruth to leave him because of the wound he got infected, and he could never fulfill her dream of having a family. He leaves her, and as days go by, they both spend their lives separately. One day, Ruth comes back to Ira, and she says that she loves him and will marry him regardless. As Luke and Sophia leave after hearing the old man's story, Luke offers to take her to his ranch, and from here on we jump between their life at the ranch and Sophia watching Luke participating in the bull riding competition. A few days later, Sophia visits Ira at his home, where he learns about Sophia's interest in art. We see Ruth and Ira visiting the College of Arts, and Ruth goes nonstop on how much she loves art. Ira even surprises Ruth with their own house, and they fill the house with paintings, and Ruth starts working as a school teacher. Learning all this about them, Sophia is touched, and sometime later, Luke's mom shares his childhood pictures with Sophia. Mom reveals that his father too was a bull rider, and how he died a few years ago because of it. She wants Luke to quit bull riding, but Luke is so against it. That night, Sophia invites Luke to an art gallery where she will be working, and Luke promises to be there. On the day, Luke makes it to the gallery but is left alone by Sophia since she wants to geek out with all the art fanatics. Left alone, Luke gets super pissed and finds Sophia chatting with her boss. She introduces Luke as her boyfriend, but Luke doesn't hide that he is irritated by the whole craze all the people had for just some squiggly lines. Because of this, Luke and Sophia get into an argument. The next day, Sophia can be seen ranting to Ira about their argument, and she says that Ira and Ruth must have never had any. Ira says otherwise, and he reveals that as years went by, Ruth really felt the absence of not having kids. One day in class, Ruth sees Daniel, one of the boys, sleeping and learns that he is not fed well, so she takes him home and feeds him. Ira and Ruth love Daniel, and as time goes by, Ruth wants to adopt him, but since the kid already has guardians, she cannot do so. They drop Daniel off at his home, and Ruth tells him that he could be anything he wants. That night, Ruth gets into a heated argument with Ira. Sophia understands that this happens in every relationship. At this time, Luke is participating in the next stage of the competition, and even though he passes the stage, he gets thrown off the bull and takes a hit at the fence. Sophia's boss calls her to introduce her to the art curator, and as Sophia prepares to leave, she gets a phone call from Luke's friend and finds out that Luke is in the hospital. Sophia calls her boss apologizing for not being able to come and goes to meet Luke. He says that he is all right and it is nothing serious, but he is cut off by the doctor stating that he is not taking it seriously, and indeed it is life-threatening. The doctor advises Sophia to make Luke stop bull riding, and there could never be a next time. Sophia is shocked to learn about this, and as she heads home, she searches for Luke's accident online. She discovers that he took a brutal hit to his head. Soon Luke gets discharged, and as Sophia drops him off, she insists that Luke quit bull riding, and she goes on that she is ready to quit on her dream to stay with him, but Luke argues that he never asked her to do so, and he cannot quit this for her. Heartbroken, Sophia runs to Ira for advice and mentions that she broke up with Luke, and asks Ira to continue from where he left off after they argued over Daniel. Ruth ends up leaving him, and for a few days, they both go on with their separate lives, but one day Ruth came back, and even though it wasn't happy days always, they decided to spend their time collecting the art they love. Years go by, and Ira reveals that he wrote to Ruth every year on their anniversary, and they spend their time together in their spot near the college. And on one day, Ruth never woke up from her sleep. After Ruth's funeral, Ira packed up all of their art collection, and on one random day, a woman dropped by his home, revealing herself to be the wife of Daniel, the kid they once looked after years ago. She also informs him that Daniel collapsed 6 years ago, and he grew up to become a professor of physics and astronomy in the University of London, and she returned to the US after that. She came to find Ira after seeing Ruth's obituary in the newspaper, and Daniel had always wanted to give them something. Ira Ira opens up the package to see the picture of Ira and Ruth, and on the back Daniel had written, "Ruth Levinson, 3rd grade teacher. She told me I could be anything I wanted to be when I grow up." Ira feels happy reading it, and the package is revealed to be a portrait of Ruth drawn by Daniel. Luke comes home after passing the next round, but his mom doesn't care about him winning. All she ever wants is that he could give up on bull riding completely. He says that he's doing it to help her with the ranch, but his mom reveals that he's doing it for himself. The next day, Sophia receives a call after class mentioning that old man Ira has passed away, and Sophia is invited to the auction of his entire art collection the following week. The auction happens on the day of the bull riding finals, and Luke receives an invite to the auction from Ira's lawyer, through which he is informed of Ira's passing. Luke doesn't think about it much since he has no interest in art. He heads to the finals with the intent to win. To his surprise, Luke draws Rango from the lot, and he remembers what happened last year when he rode Rango. It's his turn and he is still shaky but pushes through. We see a slow-mo of the whole 8 seconds, and Luke finally victors over the undefeated Rango. Luke looks around to find no familiar faces, and he cannot stop thinking about Sophia, so he leaves the stadium. Sophia visits the auction site and is stunned to see the most unique collection of art from famous artists that Ruth and Ira have amassed over the years. Before the auction begins, Howard, Ira's and Ruth's lawyer reads a personal note from Ira for the auction. Ira mentions that it is not because of the art that he collected them, but with whom he collected it with. Every moment they shared through the longest ride called life is the truest work of art. Sophia gets emotional hearing the letter, and Howard thanks everyone for coming, and the auction begins. The first picture put up for auction is the portrait of Ruth drawn by Daniel for $1,000. Sophia definitely recognizes the picture, but the others aren't interested in it. The bid goes down to $800, but still no takers. It goes down to $600. To everyone's surprise, Luke bids for the portrait, and the lady next to Howard gets Luke to immediately finalize his purchase. The auction is put on hold for a few minutes, and an even more surprised Sophia follows Luke. Luke says that he got the invite, and that day he rode Rango, and he even defeated it, but it felt like nothing since she wasn't with him. He goes on to say that he will stop riding bulls, and all he ever wanted was right before his eyes. They share a kiss, and we can see the people in the background shouting at Howard. The lady from before comes to get Luke, and as they go out, Howard asks Luke whether he has finalized his purchase of the portrait of Ruth. When Luke says yes, Howard goes on to read something from Ira's will. Ira has written that the portrait of Ruth may not be the most valuable in his collection, but was the most precious one to him, so whoever buys it gets his entire collection. Luke could not get his head around what's happening, but Sophia understands that Luke just became a millionaire. As the buyers bombard Luke with offers, Howard signals them to come. Howard gives Luke his card and mentions that now he has become a wealthy man, and later we see Sophia in her art gallery filled with Ira's collection, and as she heads out, we can see the building is named the Ira and Ruth Levinson Museum. She gets into the truck with Luke, and they begin their longest ride ever. See you again with another story like this. Until then, this is your host from Movie Movie Recap signing off.